What's going on, everyone? It's Evan here, and today I wanted to take you through my little shoebox apartment game room. This room is really tiny. I mean, I can touch both walls with my hands. It's like 5 feet across maybe. If I laid down, I couldn't even fit in the room. However, it is the perfect size for everything that I'm trying to do here. So let's just kind of go through everything, starting with the desk. You've seen this many times. This is just an Amazon desk, but it fits pretty perfectly in this space. I think it's like a 50-inch desk. And then right here, I have just the tiniest shelf possible that I could get. I will get a little bit more in-depth into that, but that's basically the general setup. Starting with my computer, this is where I do all of my editing, recording gameplay. I do play a lot of games in here as well. So this is an old Cooler Master case that I got years ago on a pre-built, and then since then I've gotten an RTX 3060 Ti and other stuff in there. It's kind of old, showing its age, but I just played a bunch of Valorant a couple of years ago and it did the job really well for that. Similarly, the mouse is a G Pro Superlight, and then I also, before I got into game collecting, which was in June of 2021, so everything you see here is about 4-ish years old, maybe a little bit more, since I started collecting. Before that was custom keyboards, and so the last keyboard I ever made was this Zoom 65 V2. It's a hot swap. It has these kind of fake GMK black on white keycaps. I love the gold accents with it. It like has this really high quality metal build with like a shiny white paint, and then of course there goes the knob. It has this amazing mirror gold back on it, which this is what I always wanted in a custom keyboard, was a glass back. So this is really cool. One of my favorites. It does need a little bit of repair at this point. It's been a while since I've worked on it, but I will eventually get to doing that. Continuing on the desk, I have my AOC 144 hertz monitor. A lot of Valorant was played on this thing, so needed the high refresh rate. My mic, which you see in a lot of videos, it's like a 5.5. Catan, which I will play it eventually. It's still sealed. My little fan, because it gets hot in here. My Switch 2 is hooked up right here, and then my capture card is on the other side. This is a Shadowcast 2 Pro, which I would say is okay. It's not the best capture card ever. I do end up kind of playing through previews sometimes, and that's a little laggy, but that's kind of to be expected. I shouldn't do that. When you have one monitor, that's just kind of the situation you're dealing with. One more thing on here, and it's this Art of Final Fantasy 16 book. I love Final Fantasy 16. I think this game is great. It's not really an RPG, but it was a fun adventure, and I like adventure games anyway. Had a lot of fun with it. Think it's beautiful, and this art book is really beautiful, so I like to keep it on display right here next to this gorgeous antique lamp that I got from my wife's grandfather, and this picture of Morgana underneath it. Now moving on to one of my favorite parts of the room, and it's kind of like my Zelda shelves here, where I have this Link amiibo, but more importantly, complete in-box copy of Ocarina of Time, one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game ever. I remember buying this game as a kid with my grandma at GameStop. We were digging through a bin of Nintendo 64 games, and Ocarina of Time was 50 cents or $1, and she had the N64 at her house, and we played this game for hours and hours. And I played it so much that I couldn't save it anymore. I don't know what was wrong with that cartridge, or if I needed a save pack. I don't know exactly what was wrong with my N64, but I could only ever play this up to the Temple of Time before things kind of started to crash out. But still, one of my favorite games of all time. It's bar none. Below that, I have a manga, I don't know, of Ocarina of Time. And I think it sits very nicely next to my little Lego bonsai tree. I don't do a ton of Lego, but I did do that bonsai tree, and it was a lot of fun. I do have to get to this tuxedo cat down here, which has been sitting for a year. I will get to it. I'm so sorry, Meg. Eventually, I will build that, and it will find a spot somewhere in here. Majora's Mask, a game that I have also fond memories with, but not in the same way as Ocarina. I played this as a kid mostly on the GameCube, on the Zelda Collector's Edition. I do have this complete box copy now. Unfortunately, it represents one of my biggest collecting mistakes. I didn't know that the gold cartridges for these N64 games were so fragile, and I dropped it, and it is just mangled. You can just see on the sides there, it's completely cracked destroyed. Huge crack going through the top here. It does still work, thankfully, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get a replacement for this at some point. Unfortunately, this is one of my biggest game collecting mistakes. I just didn't know how fragile these were. I had them on display and it fell. And so, lesson learned. Very expensive lesson. Thankfully, the box and everything is still in good condition, so it's not the worst thing ever. I will play this game on 3DS most of the time. And I do have a Yankees baseball here, because I'm a Yankees fan. Go Yankees. And this really nice colored pen, Majora's Mask art that I got from the Long Island Retro Gaming Convention, or it was the Festival of Games. Their like Christmas event 2 years ago, which is very beautiful. I have this and I have another one. You'll see it in just a second. But the centerpiece of this room is the floating shelves. These were a horror nightmare to put together, but they have come together really nicely. And you see them in all the backgrounds of my videos. For the most part, I try and get them in. And starting at the bottom shelf here, we have, this is actually the newest thing in my collection. It is a chattering Meowth toy that I found. It's brand new. I think it's original run of Pokemon. It looks to be original run of Pokemon, if the fat Pikachu on the back has anything to say about it. But it's just this chattering Meowth toy. I don't think I'm going to open it, but for $4. Couldn't leave it there. It's so cool. Found it at the thrift store. And then I just have all of my complete in-box N64 and Super Nintendo. Quake 2, this is one I pieced together. I originally had just the box and manual. I did find a game for it, so that's kind of a theme. I do piece together a lot of these complete boxes, like old N64, Super Nintendo, stuff that, you know, I don't usually or wouldn't usually collect complete in box just because it's kind of a chore to do so, or very expensive to do so. I have Quake and Doom. Doom on Super Nintendo. It's kind of a weird one, I feel like, to have complete in box because it's not really a great version of Doom, but I have amazing memories with this game. It was the first version of Doom I ever played. I grew up in the mid-2000s, but I did have a friend who had a Super Nintendo, and he brought it over, and I got to play Doom because he left throwing up like 10 minutes into us hanging out. So he left the Super Nintendo there, and I played Doom all night, and I really, really loved it. It was the first time I had ever played the game, and I still love Doom to this day, so I owe a lot to this game. This isn't complete, unfortunately. This only has a box and manual, but it's one of the nicest boxes I have in my collection. Very proud to have it, very proud to have it center of the display here. And then just a couple more games. YLA Country Club, golf. I love golf games. It's just one of my weird things. And Perfect Dark, which is actually one of the most common complete in box N64 games I think to find. But it's a pretty inexpensive game and an all-time classic. Moving up, I have a black box copy of Golf for the NES. Not a first print, but it is in decent shape. It doesn't look that bad. The back side of it is kind of rough, but from the front it looks nice. I've never actually seen a black box NES game before I got this. And one of my favorite things in my collection, because I just am always been a lifelong golfer, super cool to have this one. And this shelf is really just a lot of my favorite games. It's not really in any sort of order. It's kind of potpourri between favorite games and cool things that I like or I've gotten throughout the years. And so one of those is just my Steelbook copy of Persona 5, one of my favorite games of all time. Persona 3, 4, 5 have always been just killer games for me. 4 and 5 especially. Persona 5 hit super hard when it came to Switch. We have 2 copies, so one of them is up on the shelf next to one of my most recent pickups, Silent Hill 2 on the PS2. Need to find a manual for this, but when you find Silent Hill 2 at GameStop for like under $100, you pick it up. This was in great shape, and it doesn't have the manual, but the disc is good. I don't have a PS2, but after playing Silent Hill 2 Remake last year, needed to grab this one for the collection. One of my favorite horror games, bar none. And I've been streaming this game. If you are interested, if you ever see me streaming, come through. It's really chill. And I'm going through it for the first time, and I'm really having a great time with it. Next down here is an Octopath Traveler 2 Steelbook. That's from Best Buy. Just a Steelbook. It's sealed. One of the more valuable Steelbooks on Switch. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Then just a few beers, because I like beer. You should like beer too, if you're of age, of course. Drink responsibly. And then a couple other things here on this side. This is the sounds from the Lighthouse. I did a short about the vinyl from the BioShock 2 Collector's Edition. This is just the BioShock 2 soundtrack. And then next up is this copy of Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. And this is one of the most special games in my collection. It is the most played game I have ever played. This is the game I have spent the most amount of time in. by far, and I have my original receipt in here. This is from Best Buy on April 22nd, 2014. I bought this game and I have spent so many hours in it since. This game came out right when the PS4 came out, and there wasn't much to play. Once I got sick of Battlefield 4, I needed something, and this absolutely hit the spot to the tune of like 2,000 hours. So definitely got my money's worth with this one, even though they sucked me dry at $15 a month trying to play it every month. That's okay. Back to the Future on VHS. I don't think I really need to pull this one out. Back to the Future is my favorite movie since I was a kid. So definitely always wanted a VHS copy, and I got it. This is my signed copy of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 from the man himself, Tony Hawk. Shout out to Meg, my amazing wife, getting this game signed for me. This was the one I grew up on as a kid. I did have it on PS1. Now I have it on GameCube, but super special to have this. Keeping with the theme of signed games, I have, as everything falls apart, this is The Sims Busting Out, and LGR signed it for me at LA Retro last year, and he was super nice and a great guy, and shout out to him for signing this one for me.
It wasn't for you.
Okay, it was a gift for you. So, picking up what fell is my Switch 2 trucker hat that I got at the midnight launch for the Switch 2. And I just keep it up here, never wear it. Looks nice on the shelf, I think. Moving up to the top shelf, and my favorite shelf are my big box games. Arzette, the Jewel of Fairmore. Honestly, one of my favorite indie games ever, and one of my favorites on Switch. I just had such a great time. If you know the joke, if you're in on the whole shtick of the game, it's fantastic. And honestly, it's a nice little platformer. It's kind of have some Metroidvania elements to it. I'm a big fan of Arzette. And this collector's edition, not a huge limited run collector's edition guy. I have to really like the game. This was a deserving title for me. Next to that is the Octopath Traveler Wayfarer's Edition. I'm more partial to Octopath Traveler 2 than 1. However, I had the game and saw this listing on eBay for $30. I found the Wayfarer's Edition. All of it was new except for the book, which has some glue damage. Other than that, it's pretty good. So to be able to piece that collector's edition for like $30, that's not too bad. Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. I've only played this game once. I do like what's in this collector's edition. Everybody bought it. It wasn't the collector's item everyone thought it would be. However, it is a solid game, and everything in this box is really nice. There's a Taylor Swift Person of the Year, Time Magazine, that's for Meg. The Beatles, they're my favorite band. There's a little Final Fantasy pin. And then this is Final Fantasy Origins on the PS1. You may know what this is. A couple years ago, there was a viral YouTube video about Square Enix selling PS1 games brand new in like 2021 or 2022. The main difference with these reprints is the back of the game is reflective and silver, just like every other disc ever made. It's not like a typical PS1 game. So that's how you can tell if you do get one of these things secondhand or used. Anyway, this one's just cool to have. Brand new PS1 game in 2022, 2023. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but just cool to have on the shelf. Super Mario All-Stars on Wii. The Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth art book, which I wish I had the big box for this. I have the game, I have the art book, but like, I wish I had the whole set. Unfortunately, when I bought this, the guy charged me more to have the game and the art book, but I kind of wish I just had the game because there's no real place to put this. And finally, the last thing, and honestly my favorite thing in my Switch collection, I think, is the No More Heroes and No More Heroes 2 dual pack. These are limited run collector's editions. They like magnetize to create one big box. Just love both of these games. It's also really cool to have the soundtrack CD and to have actually their hardcover art books, and like they have Suda51 writing about how he made the game and what was behind them. It's a really cool collector's edition. Limited Run did a good job with it. And lastly, we have that really thin shelf I was telling you about before. This is just kind of my overflow shelf. It does become a little bit of a catch-all at some points, especially this top shelf, but for the most part, it has my PS3 games. All of my PS3 collection is in here, and this is double stacked, and a lot of Switch overflow as well. So as you can see back there, there's some more PS3. Get in there. It's really a small space, especially this is just so hard to navigate. More Switch here. Pac-Man World Repack, taking some stuff out. More PS3, again, kind of lodged behind there. Maybe soon I will do like a full PlayStation collection video. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing that. I would probably just lump PS3, 4, and 5 together because I don't have that many games for them compared to like Switch where I have over 100. Here is the Sega Saturn collection, US Sega Saturn. I don't think I said this before, but I do have a Sega Saturn on my desk. This was the first console I ever collected for in June of 2021. I saw a video from what is now Bleeding Hearts GC, I think his username is, and he bought a imported white Sega Saturn, and so I did the same thing. I was always interested in the Saturn, however, I soon realized I don't really love a lot of the games on Saturn. I like horror games, first-person shooters, adventure games, not racers and arcade games and fighters. So I do love the Saturn, it has a special place in my heart, but it's just not the library for me. Getting back over to the shelf, a pretty small collection of North American Sega Saturn games, but I do like the system. I like to collect for it if I can. And then down here, just some jewel case stuff, a lot of PS1, cheap PS1 that I don't, one Dreamcast game, and then all the way in the back, which is impossible to get out, we have some Japanese Saturn. Knights, Virtual On, here, Virtual Fighter 2. These games are beautiful. Panzer Dragoon, and my personal favorite, which is still back here, the first Resident Evil, which is actually how I played this game for the first time. Alright, I'm in the living room now. Well, living room, but there's only one room, so it doesn't really matter. And this is my shelf of every other game, my main games. This is where I keep a vast majority of my collection, and it's kind of very tightly packed in. So let's get through it here. At the top here, I have all of my PS5 games, some PS4 games, and my entire Switch 2 collection, which is growing rather fast. I do highly recommend Pac-Man World 2 Repack if you have not played it yet. Please go out and get this game. It is a game key card on Switch 2. So if you don't like that one, get the PS5 version, because me and Meg love this game so much we had to get 2 copies of it. Unfortunately, the problem with this setup is that everything just falls apart very, very quickly. So trying to get to things is a pain, but I don't have anywhere else to put these games, so I just kind of have to make do. It is all double stacked, just like the shelf before, so behind all of the PS5 games are my PS4 games, which I will just don't want to dig through everything. Again, if you want to see a collection video, let me know. Coming down here, we have the crown jewel of my collection, the bulk of my collection. This is the Switch games. For about 2 years, I've been absolutely obsessed with collecting Switch. I have slowed down since, but we have my Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED and Meg's Switch. A couple games that I've been playing. I do have Tears of the Kingdom here just on display. Dragon's Lair Trilogy, Crisis Remastered, and the Persona dual pack slipcover. So Persona 3, Persona 4 here. And a Joker amiibo to keep with the Persona theme of everything. The games are double stacked. It's kind of a pain. However, it does look nice. It's nice to have things in front of it. And these bookshelves are deep. This is not a media shelf, it's a bookshelf. So to be able to have things in front of it, you gotta use the space as much as you can. And you gotta make it look nice, because it's right smack dab in the middle of our living room. This shelf here is kind of a hodgepodge. It has a whole mess of things. My 3DS games, my DS games, my 3DS up here. I'm definitely trying to play more DS within the past year, and so I moved it to eye level. Unfortunately, I just haven't really gotten around to a lot of it. My favorite thing on here, though, is this really, really awesome Persona 5 Tactica Morgana statue. This was a wedding gift from my friend John, and it is so amazing. Really great gift. Thank you, John. It is so cool. And then just some assorted things, some decorations, including this cutout of the other Morgana, which is our cat. This is the GameCube shelf, as you can see. There is a little bit of non-GameCube stuff here. My copies of Jade Cocoon and Dino Crisis. These have been living here just because I don't want to put these pretty much on the floor in the slim shelf, so they've been living here for now. I will throw them up for the time being. I got most of these games really at the height of GameCube, so I did pay kind of a lot for these games compared to what I would have paid for now. 2 books also, this GameCube anthology, which runs through every GameCube game. Really cool, just like to read through this every once in a while. It has a good history lesson as well. And my friend Justin got me the Final Fantasy XIV cookbook. So to get these out of the way, you can see more of the games here. I have the complete Resident Evil GameCube collection. Some Zelda games, but not all of them. I do need to get the rest of that set. And I do have a spare GameCube. And all the way at the bottom here are my video game vinyls. And the only DVD I own, the uncensored Jersey Shore Season 2, which is essential watching for pretty much everyone who is alive on this planet. This is one of my favorite things in my game collection. This is the Ace Attorney box set. in this beautiful gold nugget color. I was super lucky to find this on Discogs for an amazing deal. And these vinyls are just gorgeous. I love the soundtracks to Ace Attorney. They're probably my favorite game soundtracks of all time, bar none. So just to have these on vinyl, just to have them physically to hold the Ace Attorney soundtracks, one of my favorite things, and killer deal for this. So super, super happy to have this. So with that, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know, what was your favorite thing I have in my collection? Is there anything that I missed? I tried to be as thorough as possible. If there's something you want me to talk about later, do leave me a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like and that subscribe button. There's gonna be more game collecting content and stuff on the way, so you don't wanna miss any of it. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one.